We have cool.
Hey friends, welcome to the Everyday Mealmanship Podcast. Today I am here with some awesome friends of mine, Zach and Lauren Kohli from New Paris, Ohio. Thanks, guys, for being here.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, glad you guys let me talk you into doing the podcast. So we've been stranded at their house for a few days. It's a good place to be stranded at. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I wasn't mad about it like during the COVID lockdown.
It's a good place to be. These guys have a beautiful farm and awesome house, fishing pond, all kinds of Indian stuff around, Native American.
We can ride through the corn.
We can. Last night we ran through the corn. We did new things last night. I've never ran through corn.
Welcome to the Midwest.
And I've never hooted like an owl while running through the corn.
We hooted like a Swayze flew through the corn.
Yep. So Clay Newcomb, if you're listening to the podcast, we were all practicing your who cooks for you, who cooks for you all.
Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yep. So we definitely, Swayze, that's her new call for her friends, I think. So anyways, that was a heck of a lot of fun though.
It was fun.
I was telling Scott, there's God's beauty is everywhere. It was so pretty last night, that sun going down and the sunset over the corn like that, and over the soybeans.
The humidity kind of like puts that haze in the sky with the pastel colored gradient in the sky, and
it was really pretty.
Yep.
So anyways, so just a quick introduction. So I think I believe I met you. You guys came and watched the clinic in Elkins Creek, Ohio. Is that the first time?
That was probably maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, I think 2018 or something is when I went there, or 19.
We audited.
Yep. And then you rode with me in Indiana at the Midwest Trail Rides.
Yep.
Norman, did your foundation clinic there.
Yep.
Norman,
Indiana, and then last year you came to Smoke Rise in Gloucester, Ohio. So yeah, it's fun. But well, for our guests, why don't you guys introduce yourselves to I guess ladies first. Lauren, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell you both listen to this podcast. Zach definitely listens more.
That's right.
So
I listen to it too.
All of them.
But it's called Everyday Mealmanship. I don't really know why anymore I call it that. Because these podcasts have taken on its own life. It is about mealmanship, horsemanship, donkmanship, as we're going to get into here.
That's right. That's the word of the day.
Yeah, donkmanship. But I just like to learn about my friends and what makes y'all tick. So why don't you introduce yourself first, Lauren, and then we'll let Zach introduce himself too.
I'm Lauren Kohli. I like all genres of equines. I started with horses. I've been into horses my whole life. I've been riding for almost 30 years. I got my first horse when I was 12, and he was very difficult, challenging, strong-minded, opinionated, energetic, young horse. He was like a reflection of myself, basically. And we didn't really see eye to eye. I didn't have any mentors or anybody to help me. I knew absolutely nothing about horsemanship when I got him. I had taken Western pleasure lessons, for a couple years before that, but it was basically just how to sit in the saddle, and it was very remedial. So I was kind of thrown to the fire with this 3-year-old, and it was a disaster. And I was always kind of like in awe of people who had horses and a relationship with their horse where it was just like the horse would put its head down. I mean, just like the most simple, basic things like any horse should do, like leading nice and dropping its pole and whatever else. It was like a mystery to me, like, how did they do that? And struggled for many years, and then finally got some help from a fella that ran a Western training facility that I cleaned stalls for, and he introduced me to round penning and sacking out and blah blah blah. And so anyway, from there I kind of just started more and more, and then I became kind of obsessed with horsemanship. And then
So who is that? You can share names on here if you feel comfortable.
yeah, his name was Herb Walker, and I worked for a few barns when I was a kid. I worked for a pretty prestigious dressage barn, and they could have stood to learn a little bit about manners and basic horse handling, because those were huge warm bloods and they would just run all over you. But then we moved out here about almost 10 years ago, and we started going to our friend Ray's ranch out in Dayton, the Faustman Ranch, and he held a lot of horse shows and versatility challenges.
And Ray was part of the rescue mission.
Yeah, he helped. He had
I guess I didn't say it much earlier, but we broke down just outside Indianapolis, and Lauren and Ray came to the rescue.
Yeah, so
he hooked on the big trailer.
Yeah, so we've been good friends with Ray for a while, and I got really interested in bridle horse, traditional horsemanship, because we did some roping out there, and he always had a few cows, and I was always really super into tack and saddles, bridles, bits, and just like craftsmanship of anything, like anything that's, you know, high quality. And that is like one of the main.
That's why you married Zach. He's high quality.
That's right.
That's right. High quality man.
So like that, all like that kind of like played into it. And even before that, I started, I was really fascinated with Liberty, and I kind of dabbled in that some, and I went to several Liberty clinics, and Madison Shambaugh was one of the first people who I started kind of following in that discipline, and she lived in Indiana at the time. She now lives in Colorado, but I went to a couple of her clinics, and so like all of that kind of played in, I felt like, into my horsemanship, because I wanted to be able to have the quietest ride with the least amount of effort, and primarily use my seat and legs. And anyway, so where am I going with this? Oh, well, I also went to school for equine science. Anyway, horses have been a part of my life, my whole life. And so we moved out here, Zach, I'm trying to get Zach into it, and he never really took to riding before we got this place. I just had Sammy, and he was just a difficult horse. You couldn't just put anybody on him. Like, you had to know how to ride him. Anyway, we ended up buying another horse. His name was Gus, and he was supposed to be Zach's horse, and he ended up being a very big project, and Zach only rode him a handful of times. He ended up becoming my horse. I was just like absolutely in love. He was my heart horse. And so we're like, well, let's just buy something else that is already just ready to go. Like, nothing that I have to do a whole bunch of training on, because we just wanted something ready to go. So we bought a rooster. Husband safe. We bought this big, beautiful Belgium draft paint cross from a consignor in Michigan, and we had things were going really, really well. We had Rooster, and Zach and I would argue about who had the best horse and blah blah blah. One day we're out on a trail ride riding in the back of our woods, and the latigo kind of came out of its keeper and kind of just flopped down. Most horses that are usable riding horses, that's not an issue, but Rooster exploded and threw Zach off very violently.
Yeah.
he went crashing through the woods, just kept bucking, just caught up in honeysuckle until he realized like, what's happening? And then he stopped. And he was so confused. And then so
Zach or the horse was confused.
they both of them.
We both were very confused.
I think we all were. And that was like, I think Zach only rode a horse maybe 5 times after that ever. And well, we had too many donkeys because when we moved out here, I needed a companion for Sammy, and so we had those mini donkeys. And we always thought like, what would it be like to have like a big donkey? And I was on Facebook and I saw the saddle donkey, and I was like, check this out. And it just intrigued him, and well, he went down a rabbit hole and started kind of researching that avenue of equine
Yeah. I
as
guess
an alternative.
That's where my story began.
Yeah.
And, she's kind of set me up to sound like a wuss that I got bucked off and I didn't care for. But I don't, getting bucked
Well,
off
it
is about,
hurts a lot.
it's about as fun as getting punched in the face. And I don't care for
It's-
either one.
It's less fun.
So just with my, at that time, my skills and abilities, I didn't have to deal with that problem with that horse just because he was so big and strong and buck. He does buck hard.
Very.
And as soon as she showed me that saddle donkey, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm into this. This is what I want to do immediately. It was, I wasn't even aware of saddle donkeys before this. And like I said, as soon as I knew, I'm ready to get involved. We started hunting right away.
Well, there's a few, there's just a billion horse Facebook groups out there. I mean, it's endless. Like you can't decide which one to be in. You just click them all and be in all of them. But when it comes to donkeys, it's like, so there's like 2 practically. I mean, that there's any significant amount of number of people in. I mean, so we joined the saddle donkey. And that was the main group. And that's where we relied heavily on just trying to obtain information about donkeys because it's just not very abundant. And we're like, they're not easy to fit with saddles. And what are they like? We don't know anybody that has them, and we're just kind of and we're trying to find people that are successfully riding and training donkeys, and there's just not many out there. I mean, there's a few people, but
if you're gonna be that noisy, you have to come join us.
Hi, Sky.
Sorry, Laura.
Those are great.
Swayze comes stomping across the floor.
Well, there's kittens in here.
Yeah,
Could add that.
yeah.
That's very enticing.
Yeah, so I guess we didn't introduce it enough, but we're sitting in Lauren and Zach's house. So we got cats in here, kids. Well, the kids are gone now. Cats and
More cats.
it's a beautiful house. Beautiful house. This is a cool background.
Thank you.
So those of you that watch this on the video library,
Mark Majori.
then you get to see.
He's our all-time favorite Western artist, and then he's
Yeah.
Bob Coronado. Zach and I are really into Western art.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Amazing house.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyway, so we're trying to get a donkey.
Okay, yeah. So what was I? Okay, so we're trying to we're like, where can we go ride like multiple donkeys? Like, because it's really just hard to shop for them. You can't just go like a couple miles and ride one.
You can't go to Walmart and find donkeys.
No,
Dang
you
it.
can't.
Dang it.
Anyway, so we found a place that had several of them, or you found it actually.
Yeah.
Place out in Stillwell, Oklahoma. And we're like, well, and for like the one time in my life, it's an equine endeavor that was not my idea. Zach, he's like, what do you think about going out to Oklahoma to look at these saddle donkeys? I'm like, well, what do I? Yeah. When?
Yep.
Yep.
So we go out there and
Yep.
Zach found Henry. Well, there's actually 3 of them that we were interested in. We didn't know which one, we were just he was actually the one we were least interested in because he was so little
Mhm.
and young. And anyway, we went out there, and these fellas took us for a saddle donkey ride through the hills of Oklahoma, and there's just donkeys everywhere. And
Is that just heaven for you?
it was
Donkey is everywhere.
Yeah.
it's
It's
so
great.
cool. Like, I'd never ridden a donkey
Mhm.
before. And you know, and then at the end, like, I'm trying to be logical. Like, we don't, like, yes, we drove all the way out here, but like, we don't have to buy anything.
Mhm.
Like, because we were, none of them were really like, this is the one. Like, we liked Henry the best because of his temperament, and he seemed like he was more eager to, like, and willing to, like, lead around. The other one, you couldn't even lead him away from the hitching rails. But anyway, long story short, well, I guess they'd had a huge one too that we rode. It was huge. It was probably as big as Rusty.
Hmm.
And you
Rusty's
could
15 hands.
you would have needed like 1,000 pounds to get that thing to take a step back of pressure. And anyway, I was like, this is just, you know, like, I don't mind a project, but like, I need something that's gonna like work with me. Like,
Yeah.
I need something that's gonna like give me something. Like, I need, like, I can't sit there forever and wait for, you know, them to make some kind of, anyway, we ended up buying Henry. He was the smallest one. Why don't you talk a little bit? I feel like I'm taking over too much.
No, you're right. Yeah, so we bought Henry, and you'll see there's kind of a pattern here where I buy an animal and then she steals it from me. So we got Henry, and
we got to describe Henry though. We got to tell the folks what he looks like.
yeah, so Henry has he has a nice mane for a donkey, and he's got the best ear fringe that you will ever find
He does.
on any donkey. Fear the fringe.
Long
Fear the
ear-
fringe.
Fear
that's
the
his-
fringe, we say.
that's his new
Yeah.
slogan.
Well, that video that you sent Sky from last night, Run Through the Corn,
Yeah.
as his ears were flopping.
Oh yeah,
that
they're like
ear fringe is
bicycle
just like-
streamers.
yeah, like bicycle streamers, exactly.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to post a picture of it.
It helps.
When
It adds horsepower. It adds donk
There
power.
you go.
Yeah.
when I post this podcast on social media, I'm gonna have to. I need a picture of Henry's ear fringe.
Yeah, he's
For sure.
magnificent.
For sure.
Yeah.
Most people clip their ears, but I absolutely refuse to, because I
Good.
feel like it's his best attribute. But anyway,
So yeah, we got Henry.
Yeah.
And Henry
he'd been kicked and pulled around.
yeah,
like he was
long story
pretty-
short, we ended up thinking he was probably just a little bit too small, because I'm 6'2", I'm 220
He
pounds.
got a little bit of a complex about the size. He's like, he asked me every single time, "Do I look too big? Do I look too big on?"
Mhm.
I'm like,
And I did a little bit.
And people in the donkey community are so fixated on the ratio of rider versus donkey, because like there's more donkeys out there that are Henry size and smaller.
Mhm.
And I mean, there's just fewer big donkeys. They're just not as prevalent.
Yep.
And so the average person is just like borderline, like they want a donkey, but they're trying to seek out something that's big enough. And that's kind of where we were at. Zach felt like, I mean, he's not a small guy. Like you're 6'2".
He's a man.
You're a man.
Man.
So,
Yep.
I mean, I kind of inherited Henry.
She stole Henry from
She
me.
stole
Or
Henry.
stolen
Yeah.
him.
And then we
the
bought-
last horse.
We
I'm
bought
saying
Rusty.
between her words here. I can I can get this going.
We bought Rusty, who's a much bigger. He's
Mhm.
he's 15 hands, carry me no problem. And Rusty he ended up being the perfect donkey for me.
Yeah, he was
I
a great confidence builder because he was pretty shook by that
Your bronc ride.
bronc ride.
Yeah, it took me a while to get my confidence back, and he was,
Oh, yeah.
like I said, he was the perfect donkey for me to
Yeah.
learn and get my confidence back. He was safe.
Mhm.
We can put anybody on
Anybody
Rusty,
on.
anybody.
Yeah.
And then obviously we wanted to continue to learn, and it's hard to find good places to learn really about donkeys.
It
that
is.
will talk about donkeys. And obviously
Mhm.
we found Ty Evans. Here we sit today.
Yep.
But also, Lauren found this lady on Facebook, and she's like, "Look at this lady loping this donkey around and moving." And it was really impressive.
Yeah, like I could appreciate what I was looking at.
Yeah.
Like it's not everybody out there who has a donkey that's loping around, lead changing and doing little baby sliding stops and riding around all collected. I mean, it's just like there's just not that much of that going on. And so I was like,
Yeah,
I
you
think
messaged.
this lady knows some stuff. She could maybe
Mhm.
teach me something. And
Yeah, who's this? You want to
this
share
is
her?
Candace.
Absolutely. Yeah, Candace Schauger
Mhm.
at Genesis Farms, and she was here in Ohio, so it was
Mhm.
a couple hour drive, and we could be over there. And Lauren arranged the lesson, and it was just eye opening. We're like, man, okay, this is
She's getting forwardness. Out
Yeah,
of these
very-
donkeys.
Forwardness.
And
I mean,
that's
you
hard.
need forwardness to train maneuvers. Anything.
Forward movement. That's
Mhm.
number one.
It's
If you
number
can't
one.
move, then you can't groove.
Forward,
Yep,
forward,
exactly
forward.
right. Yep, exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she really ended up showing us a lot of what you could do with a donkey, what was
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
And since then we've become great friends with her, and she's really taught us a lot. In all honesty, like Candace and Ty, like you guys have both have taught me more about other than my wife, have taught me more about horsemanship and donkmanship than anybody else. You guys are my influencers for sure.
Heck yeah.
And she had performance donkeys. Her breeding program is unparalleled. I don't know of any others, but
I think it's probably one of the best in the country.
yeah, for sure.
For making
They're
nice moving donkeys.
She's so
bigger donkeys.
thoughtful and everything, and just passionate about this breeding program that she's just making donkeys that are kind of like anomalies really in the donkey world. Most donkeys are just they're just not. They don't have the lightness. They don't have the forwardness. I mean, and that's why a lot of people just get on donkeys and ride them and can just kick and pull them down the trail because they're just not they're just more tolerant to poor horsemanship basically.
Well, are we ready to jump down this or I should say burrow down this rabbit hole?
Yeah.
That's good. Well, to end up our whole donkey journey to where we are today, I ended up getting one of her donkeys.
Yeah.
And he's 15-3. He's moon, walk, trot, and lope. He moves really nice, especially for a big donkey.
I rode him last night.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yep, he is cool.
And Lauren also, we just got another one, and his name's Revolution, Genesis Revolution.
He's gonna be great. He's gonna be so good.
We're really excited.
I was watching you work him in the round pen a couple days ago, and you got some really cool things going.
I'm excited. I like we were talking about earlier. I really like to train him up, Jacques Minafrino and to
Hakima.
Hakima?
No, there's no J in it.
Hakima.
Well, I guess we're white, so we have to put the J in it.
Yeah, I guess we're not. Hakima Minafrino. But I like to do the hackamore to the bridle bit.
Yep.
That'd be really cool.
Bridle donkey.
Bridle donk.
I think we should do it.
Doing it.
So one of the highlights, I guess one of the reasons I wanted to have you guys on this show was primarily because of how good you're getting your donkeys. It's really amazing how good they move and the performance you're getting out of them. And that is really rare. And
well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's rare, Now, I guess I need to preface this with my donkey experiences, okay? Because I mean, in a year we'll have over 700 mules come through classes. We'll have maybe 150 to 200 horses, but we'll probably only get 20 to 30 donkeys. So there's a huge difference in numbers.
Yeah.
And of course, that's probably a statistic across the board too. Like, how many people are actually riding donkeys?
Yeah.
It's not, you just don't see it as much, right? It's just not that popular.
Yeah.
The donkeys that I do see, the quality, I guess, of the people's donkmanship, right?
Yeah.
is usually pretty low. And this is something that has annoyed me in the mule world too.
Yeah.
But especially in the donkey world.
Yeah.
Because I believe your horse, your mule, your donkey, it will become the way you treat them. How you treat them and how you think of that animal, your perception of that animal's capabilities.
Like if you treat them like they're dumb,
yeah,
they're gonna ride like they're dumb.
you know, and it kind of goes with that other saying too. Like if you judge an elephant by the way he climbs a tree, he'll be a failure his whole life, right? And there's different sayings that kind of go. You guys know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people with donkeys, oh, it's just a dumb donkey. Like it don't,
Mhm.
it can't change leads. Donkeys don't. Do donkeys even know leads? Well, yeah, everything walks on a lead. Everything
Yeah.
trots on a lead. Everything lopes on a lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have leads. Oh, I didn't even know.
I
They
mean,
could
you watch them
change
out
leads.
there playing with one of their donkeys are the most playful
Yeah, they do play around,
equines,
don't they?
and they're just doing rollbacks and
Yep.
turning in, chasing each other and quick directional changes. Like they can do it. It's just how do you pull that out of them when you're on their backs?
I really enjoy the more I learn about horses and donkeys. So these days, my studies, like when I'm learning, my focus is on horses and donkeys. I feel I have to do that because the mule world. I'm a person that outputs education in the mule world, right?
Sure.
So I mean, I'm working on writing a book, and all that stuff. But the more we know about horses and donkeys, the more we can know about mules.
Yeah.
And and I really believe you should be training your horses how you have to train mules and donkeys. It goes back to one of my favorite quotes from a guy named Tom Dorrance, and I mention Tom Dorrance on this podcast all the time. But he was referring to the mule, and he said you have to treat the mule the way you should treat the horse. And I think we can apply that to the donkey, just
definitely
right on, because especially working with the mind, you have to be so much more honed in to working with the brain and not just the brawn. I feel like a lot of people, unfortunately, I'm not saying it's right, or I'm not giving anybody an excuse, but a lot of people get away with bullying horses around. They kind of make them do it. They muscle them into it. They kick them into it. They scare them into it.
They're easier coerced into moving forward.
They're just scared. Yeah, they're scared. They're easier scared.
Yeah, they're flightier.
And the donkey is so quick to go into the freeze.
Sure.
And that shutdown. And then people say, oh, he's just dumb, stubborn. No, you just kicked him over into the freeze. If we're talking about negative training, a horse being scared into a flight to do a move, or a donkey being so scared that they freeze, those are equal. They're equal. They're the same problems, just different outcomes.
Exactly.
But with the horses, people are like, well, I got him to do it, didn't I? I changed my leads. I got him to go in the water. I loaded him in the trailer. Well, yeah, but you scared him into it. The donkey won't be scared into movement. They get scared into freezing up.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the huge misconception comes with training.
They're very methodical in their thinking, and they think through things a lot, and they force you into being patient. Like you have to, if you think you're going to bully one into a trailer, like you might get away with it once, but that's not practical. You have to think smarter, not harder. Like I'm not real big, I'm not real strong, and I like to keep my body in good health, or that's the idea. And so you have to get creative and use all different. I use negative reinforcement and positive reinforcement to supplement it's just like any extra leverage you can get to convince the animal that it's a good idea to do what you're asking.
Well, that is the epitome of all this: horsemanship, mulemanship, donkeymanship. How can you make the right thing easier?
Yeah.
And that needs to be your focus with all of them. But with the donkeys, you have to have it that way. Like if they don't see what you want them to do as the easiest thing to do, they're not into it.
No,
you just can't sell them into.
Yeah.
If it looks hard to them, they're like,
they don't see a point in it.
I really don't need to do that. And this,
something you said to me at clinic, Ty, was like, you're like, a lot of people don't give them a chance to be light.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
So you've got to give them that chance to be light. And I think donkeys probably more than anything else have been, abused and
Yeah.
pushed and kicked and pulled. And
But when we look at the whole spectrum of horsemanship, okay, and I might get some hate mail on some of these comments I'm about to say, but it's okay. We're used to it. You look at the whole spectrum of horsemanship, and I say horsemanship, I'm including mules and donkeys across the board, and you look at the quality of riding. Some of the highest quality of riding these days is in the performance world.
Sure.
Because they have to be specific. They have to stop on a mark, turn on a mark, change leads on a mark. They have to do all these things precise. And so they can't afford not to have timing. They can't afford not to have that precision in their riding. What happens is you back your way off of that all the way down to, I'm going to say your average trail rider. Okay. I mean, every week in my clinics, I'll say, okay, how many of you, is this the first time you've ever counted feet or felt feet? And always 3/4 of them, it's usually 3/4 of them, raise their hand first time, And it's funny, a lot of them raise their hand were people that have been to my clinic before. I say, hey, Zach, no, you have counted feet, remember? And you go, oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. But, like, don't even know about the feet.
Yeah.
Okay. And these are the people that they go to turn this donkey, they go to turn this mule, and they reach down, they're just pulling randomly. There's no timing in a turn. And I try to teach them this. Like, well, you mean I have to think about turning every time?
Well, sure.
Well, I just want to get on and go for a trail ride. I don't want to think about this. I'm sorry, you have to. Like, you need to do it so much that it becomes easy. But like what you're saying, Zach, I think a lot of people don't even give them a chance, because a lot of people that are riding,
well, they have just low expectations.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people, and this may sound judgmental, but a lot of people that are riding donkeys and mules are not holding a higher standard.
Yeah.
They're like, no, and they'll use that cop out. I'm just a trail rider. And that annoys me so bad.
It annoys me too.
What do you mean just a trail rider?
Yeah.
Like, you are on the back of an animal.
I feel like they're dumbing it down.
Yeah.
Like trail riding.
They want an excuse.
They
want an excuse
to not work.
To not actually try. They want to just go down the trail and drink their beer and just ignore the animal. And that drives me crazy. And then they complain, well, this donkey, this mule is just so hard. And they say hard mouth, and they don't even know what they're talking about. But I think what you just said, Zach, is just right on point. A lot of people aren't even offering donkeys a chance to be light. Riding Moon last night, I mean, I just rode him for 5 minutes just out back here. And I really enjoyed that. Here's your cat. Before I get them my sound.
We also breed cats.
No,
we don't.
So riding him last night, I don't know if you noticed, but I did a couple little reaches on him here and there, and I just kind of felt him out, and it was amazing how light he is.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job on him.
Well, thank you.
And typically I'd get on a donkey that just some average person is riding, and even with my timing, I'll go to pick up as the foot is leaving the ground to direct that foot, and the donkey goes the other way and pulls just off of the contact, because they're so used to being yanked on.
Yeah.
They just get to protecting themselves. So the person goes down to pick up this right rein, and the donkey, even if you have good timing, is pulling away.
And they're notorious for leaning into pressure. I mean, they're just notorious for that. And
well, why is that? I
think it has something to do with their instincts. They're just like their freeze, their what's the word I'm looking for? They're not as flighty as horses.
That's the theory behind it. Okay, is all right. So you take the wolf, right? Historically, the wolf is a gut grabber, right? That's how wolves will injure other animals, right? I mean, just plug in National Geographic in Yellowstone, watch them taking down an elk or buffalo or something. Anyways, they're gut grabbers, right? So these donkeys, the lack of flight, something goes to grab them, instead of pulling away, which will likely tear and rip, they
Kick
go
and bite.
into an over.
And
That's
I,
their
another
main defense.
observation.
That's interesting.
So they push into pressure. That's why I like when I rodeo. Like when same thing with horses aren't. They do the same thing,
Yeah.
but just not as at the level that the donkeys do,
Yeah.
because the horses do have more flight. But it's like when I was rodeoing, I'd get down on my bronc, and if it was leaning on me in the chute, I remember the first time my grandpa came to watch a rodeo in high school. Okay, I had a horse that leaned on me really bad, and it was squishing my knee.
Mm-hmm.
And so all my grandpa sees is my buddy on the other side of the chute actually pushing the horse into me.
So he would push into him instead of
yes.
you.
And so he put the pressure on his neck, and then that made the horse stand up and push into his boot.
That's smart.
And get off of my knee.
Uh-huh.
And my grandpa, he's like, "What was that guy doing? He's pushing that horse on you." I'm like, "No." And
it was reverse psychology.
Yeah, I had to explain it to him how it worked.
Yeah.
But
well, I think
they do lean into pressure.
They do. And I think that like also plays into like they are so playful and they play fight all the time. Like the way they play, it's so entertaining. It's rough, but like to them, it's like they're practicing for fighting. You know, that's the whole point of play. But they'll bite each other's necks, and I mean, I have video of them literally holding on to each other's necks with their teeth, just going in circles for like over 10 minutes, like just mindless circles. And then they're just, you know, they're agile. They're actually pretty agile. Like they're always playing. And so then they have the stigma behind donkeys is that they're guard animals and that they protect livestock, which really at the end of the day, a coyote's gonna maul a mini donkey. But you know, they just have that rap that they're more fight in them.
Well, you know, I hear that all the time, and I get that question all the time in my social media messages. Is this a good idea? No, this is not a good idea. Get you Anatolian dog.
It's an
like
old
if you're on a
wives'
guard
tale.
dog, buy a guard dog.
I wish people would stop spreading that information, misinformation that they're going to protect their livestock. Here's what they are. They're great alarm systems. Like if someone comes up the driveway that's not one of our vehicles, a lot of time they'll bray. And then we'll be like, what are they braying? You know, look out the window. Or like in the middle of the night. This has happened multiple times. And it doesn't happen a lot, but when it does happen, you know, it'll be like 2 a.m. and we'll wake up to a bray and we'll be like, what is that? And we'll go outside and look to make sure there's no one out there or something weird going on, because usually there's a reason for them calling out like that in the middle of the night. So they're great alarm systems, you know, and it's not like they've never attacked predators. You know, you hear about it every once in a while, but like in general,
defend themselves for sure.
Yeah,
well, and there's plenty of them that would stomp a dog.
And they'll stomp cats, dogs.
And that's the whole, they stomp the neighbor's dog. Okay, well, what was the neighbor's dog really doing? Like what harm? You know what I mean? Like, would you need to protect your neighbor's dog against? Okay, maybe your chickens or something.
Yeah,
but they're not. And it's not that big of a deal out here. You know, somebody says, you know, they're out here in this country. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. But if they're buying like I've had people ask me, should I get a guard donkey for my cows in Idaho with all the wolves? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Your donkey's dead, dude. Your donkey's dead. It's going to get eaten tonight by a grizzly or a wolf. And it's donkey chops. Sorry. You know, and so that's not a wise thing to do. So you're right. That's a myth that needs to be.
It's a myth that needs to be debunked. Yep.
For sure.
Mythbusters.
So I kind of want to go back a little bit on quality writing.
Yes.
Okay. And as we were joking, donkmanship, but we'll use the universal term horsemanship for this sake of our audience. Okay. What kind of stuff are you getting done with your donkey? Like you just got back from
Nationals.
From the Nationals.
Harriman, Tennessee.
Let's talk about some of that. But like, what are we getting done here? What's happening?
Okay, so right now Henry is in training level division. It's his second year. He's pointing out of it already. because you accrue so many points and then they kick you out basically, and you get bumped into open division, which they'll add in loping. So it's like to get your foot in the door. And so it's everything that the open donkey division is doing minus loping, and that would entail contesting. So there's barrels, poles, which is all control and, steering and guiding. And so then you have your ranch classes, your Western pleasure, your hunter under saddle on the flat. You have trail course. So you're going over obstacles, you're side passing over things, trotting over poles, gates, bridges. It's no different than a horse show. It's just you're on a different kind of equine.
Mhm.
And I like the show because, last year was my first year doing it, and Candace really, really encouraged me to be in it. And I was like, I don't know that I'm good enough, or I don't know if Henry's good enough. I don't think we're ready. I was just coming up with like all these excuses. Like I'd never shown him before, like never even been to an open show. And I'm like, that sounds scary to me. I'm like, nationals, like we're going to another state and I'm going to show, and I've never shown before. He did amazing. He got reserve national champion, Western pleasure, first in ranch, first in the stakes, Western pleasure, which was open division and training level. So that was a big class. And, he did really, really well in trail and everything, really. And so like that gave me a lot of confidence, and it just shows that like they're totally capable. And so I went back this year and I really didn't know what to expect. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do better. Like my goal was to just do it at least as good as I did the year before. Like, like every year we always hope to get just a little bit better.
Yep.
But he did really good. So he's going to be pointing out of that, but it's just like the level of expectation from an unconventional equine that you're just showing.
Unconventional equine.
It's unconventional.
That might have to be the title of this. Lauren and Zach Kohli with their unconventional equine.
Yeah.
And we should say that at the show this year, the quality of donkeys was
it was a lot better.
Yeah.
There was more of them, in our trail
15 or 16 and
there's 15 or 16 in our trail class. There was 15. And Zach got fourth on Moon, and that was his first show ever. And Henry
Dang.
got the national championship.
Get bigger headphones here. Your head's gonna get bigger.
I know. I was just thrilled to see Zach out there enjoying himself, because I am so passionate about equines. Like people are like, did you switch to donkeys? I'm like, no, I ride them all. Like I am a bona fide horse girl, but I like this diversity of this. Like I've added a new just element to my resume there's such neat animals. Like to know a donkey is to love a donkey. Like they're like big dogs that you can really, just the way that they are, they're just so lovable. But to share, so I was heartbroken when Zach was thrown off Rooster, just not only is Rooster not working out now and he got hurt, but because I felt like he was detaching himself from like my passion in life. I'm like, we have this farm together. Like how
Zach's like, I'm buying a side by side.
a four-wheeler.
I want to enjoy that with him. So like
Yep.
when the donkeys came into our life, it's like it was such a blessing because we can keep sharing this equine life together. Like I'm going to keep riding all of them, but and he might only be riding the donkeys, but I don't care as long as this is an equine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there's another thing I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to go down another rabbit hole. Sorry, Ty.
Go ahead. Hey, we got all kinds of rabbit holes to travel down today.
So like there's a lot of really high quality horses out there. Like it is not hard to find a really nice, well-bred horse. Like they're around every corner, but not in the donkey world. So like, I feel like the people don't really know what is a good, what looks good, what's good conformation on a donkey, what should their attributes be. And like, just as in horses, you know, those attributes are going to play into how well they perform and move.
Yeah.
And if more people can breed better quality donkeys, then we can show better what that they can do and what they're capable of, and maybe more people will become interested in them, because quite frankly, you know, they are safer, and some people just need to be on a safer animal. Like, they don't have the time or the skills or ability. They might not be able to get them as fancy as a horse with their skill level, but at least they can.
Well, not everybody needs that.
They don't all need that.
Like, there's a lot of people that they should be donkey people.
Yeah,
you know, and it's not like I'm slighting them. I'm just saying, hey, you know, it's a matter of fact. The donkeys are less reactive. It's just the way it is. So if a really fast horse, very reactive horse, if that's too much for you, or you just don't want to deal with that, hey, a donkey is a great choice.
It's a great choice. And it would just be nicer to see a more better quality donkeys, because if there was, more people would be riding them, because people do want to see results. Like, you know, they want to see that they want to feel like they can progress with something, and not just like trying to figure out this puzzle, you know. Like Revy out there, when I work with him, I feel like I'm working with a horse. He's so well bred that I'm like, I can work with this animal. Like, he is willing, he's forward, he's moving off of pressure. I can make him be something. And then like, when we do good on them and we go out to these local trail heads and go for rides, and people see us riding where we take it seriously, we're riding fine animals who are controllable, who are soft and light, and we are using high quality tack. We have respect for how we look, you know, like we present them in a way that, you know, like, oh, that looks cool. Like, you know, these people take it seriously. Like, we take it seriously. And so we want other people to take it seriously too. This isn't a joke. Like,
you kind of feel like cool. When you go out on a donkey, you're kind of representing. Yeah. You feel like you're representing donkeys. It's, and like, we've had people aren't going to see it every day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They don't see it every day
with the mules. Yeah. So I always joke. So, you know, back home, whenever I get invited to branding and stuff, I always joke that, you know, if I showed up here on a horse and I roped mediocre, or maybe even not that good, nobody would say a thing.
Right.
But if I show up here on a mule, I have to be that much better, because I'm already being judged. Like, you better show up, and you got to rope better, you have to ride better, your animal has to perform better. But yeah, if I had showed up on a horse, all those cowboys, they wouldn't even notice me. Like, it wouldn't even be a big deal. But because you show up on a mule or your donkey, well, you are representing.
I also feel like I'm so into like tack and saddles and like the craftsmanship of it, that I'm like, it's like, I don't want to ride a piece of junk with this tack that is like, I want to be as good as what I'm using. Does that make sense? Like, it, like, I want to fill the shoes, basically. Like, I
posted something on social media years ago that I said, you can tell a lot about a person by the gear they use. And I got all kinds of crazy negative hate.
But you can. It's true.
And a lot of them say, well, no, you know, this person can have this piece of junk and still get something done. I'm like, that's not the point. When somebody uses quality gear, that shows respect for a couple of things. One, most importantly, for their animal, that they have saddles that fit, saddles that function, that aren't going to damage, hurt the animal. The things, you know, it's not even about looks. It's about the quality of the function of it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I was really, my aim when I had posted that was particularly about headgear, you know, okay, bits, you know, things that people put on their heads, you know, you see a certain contraption, somebody puts something on. I'm not gonna lie, it's a judgment. Like I'm saying, it tells me a lot about that person.
Mhm.
I see somebody show up where they got the nose pincher and the brain crusher and the pressure here under the jaw and like all these gimmicky crap
Yeah.
things. I'm like, it's clear that they are just looking for some type of shortcut, and they're not looking for a partnership. They're looking for obedience,
Or,
and
or
that's
at least
different to me.
it's like, I know that some people have a certain approach and certain ways of doing things, and they're using these tools, and that's fine, to each their own if they're going to use them. But like, the only thing I would say is like, just don't stay there. Like, if you got to use it, if you really feel like you need to use it. And when you get the result and like, move out of that, like try to get away from that. And the goal is to get your animal softer, not like reliant on all these different pressures and weird, just gimmicky tools that you think you have to ride in every day.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
The problem with it though is once you go down those roads and you are relying on results from physical pressure.
Sure.
It's hard to come back from that. That's just like getting hooked on some drugs. I mean, it's hard to back your way out of that, because now the results you're getting is off of pain. And the problem with pain is we dull to it, and then it doesn't work anymore. And then you have to add more pain, make it hurt more.
And I think the donkeys and mules are more stoic too.
Oh, sure.
So
I've seen people do some, it's so sad to me. Okay. So, I mean, Christ rode a donkey into Jerusalem, right?
Mm.
We talked about this the other day.
Yep.
Okay. This is a special animal. Like, and anybody that doesn't respect a donkey can, I don't know. I just want to tell them something else.
Kick rocks.
You know what I mean? Like, because these are sweet creatures.
Oh man, they're so sweet.
They're mild, meek, gentle creatures. And any good horseman I've ever been around has respect and enjoys all animals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a dog, a cat.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find them out there playing with your raccoon in your barn. You know what I mean? Like, they just like animals. I'm not saying they don't hunt and they don't fish, but they would be respectful in the way they hunt and fish.
Yeah.
But back to the donkeys, every really great horseman I've ever been around just respects animals. And then you see something like the donkey that is just so meek and mild, and I guess what I'm getting at is it really bothers me when I see something so gentle, a creature. Also, and I'll be frank on saying this, they are so easy. Oh my gosh, people, they are so easy to train. Like, people need to get over themselves. It is so easy. And yet they go down a lot of, I've seen some cruel things with donkeys. Yeah. Because they're trying to get it done on force.
Yeah.
And their mindset is, well, if this much force doesn't work, I got to use this much force. That ain't working. I better add more force in. And I just look at that. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the easiest, gentlest, meekest creature on earth. And you can't get along with this thing.
It takes time. It takes time, and people don't want to take the time. Yeah. They want the instant gratification. Yeah. And if that's what you have to have, like, donkeys are not for you.
I think there's a purity and an honesty to a donkey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amen, man.
Yep.
They are. They just, I don't know. I think they're the epitome of how we should treat each other, because, you can't bully them. You can't make them, you can't force them to do something. I mean, yeah, maybe you can physically pick them up with a tractor and put them into the trailer, but that ain't getting it done.
Right.
You can't force them to do something. And I think how, with mankind, like, we're getting deep here, I guess, but like with people, like, we shouldn't treat people like that either. Like,
you're right.
Don't make people do anything. Like, don't force them to do
like
stuff.
Whenever, like, I have to get, firm with any one of ours, like, there's like something about it, like, makes you feel bad. You're like, oh,
and especially
sorry.
yeah, absolutely. And it makes you think. it makes you think, how should this really be done?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm setting this up and I'm firming up, and then I feel bad about it. Okay, should I have set this up in a different way? Now, no doubt, okay, you know, don't let me come across as like fluffy here. You know, we need to get things done. Okay, so yeah, we need to load in the trailer.
Yeah.
We need to cross this water. We need to, I mean, I've seen all kinds of things. We just need to lead out the barn, donkey. Okay, we got to go out of the barn. You know, we got to get this done. But how can you do that in a way that is basically being a good salesman to the donkey, where you don't force them, you don't make them, you don't take the whoop to them, and you know, and just beat the crap out of them, and you know, and it's amazing with that too. I've seen people do that, you know, and I've put a lot of pressure on donkeys before.
I mean,
And-
sometimes and I'm going to be honest, it's like sometimes you do have to really set your, you know, you have to set boundaries for them, because
Yeah.
if you don't, they'll know that they're stronger than you, and they'll
There's times
they'll
to be
eat you
firm.
up.
Well, yeah,
Like
you do
spit
need
you
to
out.
you do need to firm up
Mhm.
and have your boundaries. But I think it's the way we do it. And
There has to be a release form
Yeah.
though. Like
I see people put just physical pressure, and this is a topic that comes up every clinic, every foundation class. I always talk about wrestling. You know, you guys into wrestling at all, high school or anything?
no.
You into that?
WWF or
Yeah, well, just what I did.
Wrestling?
Yeah, but like okay, I always use the example of wrestling. Like anybody that knows anything about wrestling knows a lot about weight,
yeah.
and you're just outweighed. If you're outweighed, your chances are that much less. Your opponent has that much more advantage of you. And in wrestling, in sports, right? We're talking maybe even sometimes less than a pound that these guys are stressed about, right? A couple of pounds might be overwhelming. 10 pounds is like, oh crap, I'm probably going to lose, you know?
Mhm.
And okay. And then I see people show up to my foundation class and they're pushing their donkeys and mules physically, hands on. I have my hands up, those that can't see me. They're pushing the animal. I'm like, you know, that mule weighs 1,000 pounds, right? How much do you weigh again? You know, they're like 180. Like,
I mean, that's just a game to
like
them.
you're gonna really push that thing
They
around.
push each other around all the time, all day,
Oh,
every
yeah.
day, all day out there.
Mount
That's what
each
they do.
other, push
Oh,
each
yeah,
other.
mount
Like,
each
okay, well, next thing you know, that thing jumping on you now if we're gonna play physical,
Yeah,
you know, and
they're rough out there.
but it's hard because we're, you know, a lot of people just, if they can't get it done, we got to go to the physical, like make it happen. Just strength has to kick in, and you know, I think that's the lesson that I really want to convey here is, you know, you guys working with donkeys especially, but all equine is not about strength. You shouldn't have to be strong to get it done, and at the end of the day, we are not compared to them. We were talking about this last night.
Mhm.
That's the reason we ride these horses, mules, donkeys, so we can be bigger, better, faster, stronger,
Mhm.
more athletic, jump higher, go longer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we ride them, you know, because
Yeah.
they're better than us.
Yeah.
In every physical way, they're better than we are. You know, they can do more. So, yeah, I would love to see more people, or I should say, I would love to see less people pushing on their animals.
I would too. I just see so many people on the trail just mindlessly, thoughtlessly wallering around with not riding. It's
Don't
like,
talk about
just
Zach that way.
try. Yeah, it's like, can't you just try to use like a little finesse? I mean, like,
Yeah.
do
I think a lot of
don't
people
know.
just, but I think a lot of people in that, and I guess I'll defend them, is a lot of people just don't know what they don't.
They don't know what they don't know, and they think that like there's some people like, oh, I've been riding for my entire life. Well, that doesn't really equate to quality of riding. Like a lot of people have been riding their whole lives, but that doesn't necessarily equate to skill. I mean,
Well, there's a difference in 50 years of experience or 1 year of experience 50 times.
Exactly.
I meet a lot of people that have 1 year of experience 20, 30, 40, 50 times, and they do the same thing they did last year.
Yeah.
And
Expecting different results.
yeah, and you know, then I see other people that are actually really trying to learn and improve. And yeah, you can say, yeah, well, they do have 10
Yeah.
years, 20 years, 30 years experience of riding now. because it's continual learning. And that's something I respect about both of you. Anybody that comes to my clinics, I have a respect for them just for showing up, because, hey, that says a lot about, for you to sign up, show up, and be there. That says a lot about your brain, like, what are you into? What do you appreciate?
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you guys, wanting to learn.
I think you have to stay curious. I mean, keep asking questions and question, like, why is that technique being done? Try to question it and ask why. That way you can comprehend that. See, that's like, every year I'm like, I don't want to go stagnant in my horsemanship, my donkmanship. Like, the learning from the horses has exponentially helped me with the donkeys. That's the reason why I'm doing as good with them as I am. Like, if I didn't have the horses, it wouldn't be this. So like you have to stay curious and ask questions, because you can't move on to the next level until you comprehend the previous step. Like, if you're not, like, it's all about comprehension. Like, when you start understanding why we do these little steps, they all come together to form the big picture. And it does seem overwhelming, when you just look at the picture. Like, when people see when people that are like maybe like a lower level or just learning, and they see others performing at this really high level, it seems daunting and overwhelming. And it even seems like that to me a lot of times, like when I see these like working cow horses just working flawlessly and just effortlessly, because it's like, I want to learn how they got there, like, because they know things we don't. That's why they're doing so well. But like, you just have to just keep little step by step, comprehend each little piece of the puzzle, and then it all starts to come together.
Yep.
And then at the end, it's like, there is no end.
And
you're always learning.
You got to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Push yourself to learn and new experiences. And when you do meet good teachers in your life, man, listen.
It is so humbling.
Yeah, it is. It's very humbling.
There's a guy I rode with several times, Mark Anderson. Gosh, he's so talented. He's out in Texas. He's been a big mentor of mine, and he's not only a great trainer, but he's a great teacher. He's able to convey ideas and techniques, principles in a way that they make sense to me. And you just have to find those people that that convey things that works for your learning style. Like, I'm very much a visual learner. Like, I learn the most, like, if I take a lesson, I would prefer that somebody be writing with me, so that I can see the way that their hands are, because every tiny little thing matters. Like, if you want to go to the next level and expect more, like, there's so many little tiny changes that you can make to your writing that at the end are big.
Yeah.
Like your hand positioning, just for example, or your hip bones, your seats. It's like sometimes I get so overwhelmed because I'm like, God, I have so much, but that's the fun of it at the same time.
Never ends.
Never ends.
No, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Exactly. I say that all the time. Like, the more I learn, the more I'm like, I don't know.
Yep. You open up one
Pandora's
door
box,
and there's 2 or 3 more doors behind it, and each of those have 3 more behind it. Like, it just keeps going and keeps rolling. But I think that's why we're here. And I've quoted this a lot of times on my podcast, but like my great grandpa, he'd say, when you think you know it all, it's time to die.
pretty much.
So okay, I'll keep learning. You bet. And just always try to be better and do better. And that's why I respect the 2 of you, because you guys are like that. You want to be better and do better.
Thank you, man. It's a high compliment. We appreciate that.
Well, what are the donkey things you want to talk about? Anything else that we didn't hit on too hard, Zach? I know you had a few things you wanted to.
We want to pack the donkeys, or we were gonna take them to Colorado this July, but things didn't work out, and so that's a goal of ours to take them out
Next year, I'm telling you, come out and pack with us.
We'd love
Do
to.
it.
I'm
We'd
already
love to.
there mentally. Like let's do this.
All right.
We'd love to.
Zach, you wanted to hit on something because you was mentioning last night that you know, in the donkey forums and worlds and social media, a lot of people just asking, like they get stuck on a lot of just basic things, and now these basic things do matter, and no doubt,
Yeah.
Certainly.
you know, for sure. But you had something you wanted to talk about. Do you remember?
Well, yeah, a lot of what you see is about saddle fit.
Mhm.
I think a lot it's prohibitive to people getting out and using their donkeys because they're so worried about their tack. And it is, me getting into it was a little overwhelming. You're like, man, what in the world? And if
Well, it's
Lauren here,
expensive to buy saddles.
Oh,
You
yeah.
buy one on the internet and
for sure,
it
but
doesn't fit.
get a good saddle and a good pad,
Yeah.
and just you'll know if it isn't right.
But I think if
The
people
donkey will let you know pretty quick if it isn't right. If they're not comfortable, just
Yep.
pay attention to your animal.
Yep.
pay attention to your animal and under, like, for me, like, if you have a little bit of an understanding about like saddle angles and trees and rock and like gullets and, like, donkeys have flat backs. They
Yep.
usually have more prominent spines, like not all of them, but they're mutton withered, and it's like you can't go out there and buy a saddle that's got like a big rock to it that's gonna, like, for like a sway back looking, you just have to be smart about it. Doesn't have to fit them like a glove.
Yeah,
You can get a good quality pad to kind of compensate for some of that, and yeah, it's not like the most ideal, but it scares people away. They think they have to have like the perfect. Oh, another thing, the saddle placement on a donkey is very important.
Yeah, that's one thing we definitely learned, is to have your saddle back farther back.
Put
than
it
you would on
back
a horse.
further than what you even think it should be.
For
Like, you
sure.
clear those
Stay off of
shoulders
that
up.
shoulder.
The
For
scapula, because donkeys are just naturally so heavy on the front end. Like, you don't want to impede on any of that. Like, in their shoulder, their scapula movements, like up and down, and you don't want to pinch on that. Like, people always want to put their saddles like right up on the shoulders.
It made a world of difference.
World.
Like a donkey like Rustosaurus.
He'd
with a
trip.
big 300-pound head. He's got enough
Yes.
weight on his front end.
Yeah.
Backing off really was a game changer.
Yeah.
That was a big thing.
Yep, for sure. And another thing too, I like this to ask anybody that knows anything, is like, do you believe that a donkey, everyone says that a donkey is stronger than a horse of similar size. And to me, that just never made sense. I was like, I want someone to do a scientific test. Like, let's test this somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. We
But
need
I
some
just-
science.
Everyone I know that knows something says no way.
Yeah.
Which I asked you, and
Yeah. Well, yeah, and strength can be measured in different ways. So
Mhm.
what does that mean?
Yeah.
Because we say, oh, well, strength training, like when you refer to that in the human world, strength training, okay, that could have different connotations, or the same thing. So the stronger than, no, they're not. Are they
No.
less? No, it's just the muscles in mules are more dense
Yeah.
than horses and the donks. Okay, I mean, that's just the hybrid, weirdness in them. Mules have the hybrid thing going on, so that's why all the weird stuff comes with the mules. You got all kinds of uniqueness.
The
in the mules.
braying.
That's what's interesting about the mule, right?
Mhm.
Okay, we got the donkey and the horse. They're not hybrids, All right, so yeah, I think where that comes from is, well, kind of like we talked about earlier a little bit, like, all right, the donkey's a little small. You want to ride it. Let's just say it's stronger to make us feel better.
right, yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah.
Because you're right. There are I know of zero scientific peer-reviewed studies that can prove that the donkey is stronger. And is it pound for pound? Is it like
I don't think we
weight
came
deal?
up with
Is it a
that.
size deal?
Look at the
You know
hip
what?
Are they talking
on a
about
horse or a mule compared to a donkey. It's just, it's not the same. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the
Yeah.
muscle on the hips of a horse. Like, it's
Yeah.
Yep.
there's no comparison. I mean, how could a donkey be stronger. I mean, they might be more sure-footed in ways because of their
They-
structure,
They're definitely more
and they're
sure-footed.
methodical and they're stepping.
And I think the sure-footedness though comes from their brain, not their athletic
No.
ability.
And I think that's another misconception that we're kind of learning about is like not all donkeys are sure-footed.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like
It comes from the mind. Like
Yeah.
one that is self-preservative, thoughtful, and particular. I mean, it's amazing. So like out in Utah, we got all these wild donkeys. Okay. I mean,
Mhm.
it's so cool. You guys need to come out and just see
Oh
them.
yeah.
It's amazing to see them. It's pretty fun.
Mhm.
And it is crazy where they go.
Oh, I bet I
And
mean, they're
that's how we find all of our ways through these crazy rock canyons, is following donkey tracks.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
And
too.
it's amazing where they can go. But yeah, they're raised out there. They live out there. Okay, you buy a
survival of the
donkey.
fittest.
I mean, let's face it, you buy a donkey from here in Ohio, and it's flat, and then you're gonna go up in the mountains and just expect, oh, it's a donkey. It should be fine. Well, no, it doesn't even know about. It doesn't, it doesn't know about these things. It doesn't know about rocks. It doesn't know about stuff.
That's another reason why
So-
Zach got Moon, because Rusty just has there's such limitations on him due to his the way he's configured. I mean, he trips. He's completely fallen down before on flat ground. He's not
Yeah.
graceful.
Well,
Poor Rusty.
he's a
big
great,
donkeys like Rusty. I think we're bred to make big mules.
and people
Or,
see like
and I'm
big-
sure that helps you. You get this big jack. It's impressive. People are like, yeah, I want to make
Yeah.
more out of that
Yeah.
jack. Yeah. And whether it's right or wrong, or
But it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. What is good conformation in a donkey, and I guess we could talk about that a little bit. And it's not that much different than what you do look for in good conformation of a horse. Let's face it, we got 4 legs, and we need these legs to operate correctly. And then you need all the components involved in moving those legs to be correct. Well, you just mentioned the donkey butts. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's actually I can't remember, what's it called? Like it's a saying, oh, that's a donkey butt. Like we say that about mules and we say that about horses. It's a donkey butt. That's a negative connotation, saying that that's a skinny little butt that doesn't have any muscle, right? Okay, so all right, we're talking about a well-balanced animal. And in my clinics, you'll hear me use words like self-carriage and collection. Okay, you see this little skinny butt and this big old front end. Already we know that animal is not performing self-carriage correctly. It's not collected. It's not, it doesn't have that balance to it. We know that it's heavy on the forehand. If it's heavy on the forehand, we know that it is not going to travel appropriately and be really a safe ride. Probably not a smooth ride, So you have to look at those things. And yeah, look at, Moon is, that's one of the nicest looking donkeys I've seen in a long time.
You need to lope him. Seriously.
He
like a Western pleasure lope.
He looks good. And that the distribution of his weight is what we look for in all 4-legged riding animals, horses, mules, donkeys, so when we say good conformation, and like you said, a lot of people don't know, it's really not that much different than a horse. When you look at how the muscle is growing, how is the muscle being used and growing in the animal, and that tells you about how their ride is. A lot of people are like, well, what's happening like with conformation, and it's a little annoying in the trail riding world, is people are like, well, what does it matter? I just trail ride. Okay, hold on. Back up a minute. Where does this whole standard of conformation come from historically?
Need it.
Yeah, well, historically, we choose good conformation for what? A better ride.
A better ride.
So you can ride and not have your back hurt.
The earth.
You want this ride to be a good ride. I tell people, hey, conformation, what that really means is suspension system. So if that helps people, because everybody, anybody that drives a vehicle knows about suspension. Okay, it's like driving my Freightliner or driving, your car.
Mhm.
Okay, where's the suspension system? How does it feel? What's a better ride?
Yeah.
And that's what good conformation does, is makes a better ride for you, and so yeah, you just look at that. Distribution of muscles is the easiest way to really check conformation.
I think people are more likely to make excuses for bad conformation in donkeys, though, because that's what's most readily out there is small butts and thick necks and narrow shoulders, like, so there's like, that just goes back to, there needs to be more better quality so that people start to develop more of an eye for what is a good donkey. Just because it's big, it doesn't mean, I think people see the size of one and they're like, bigger the better, but it's just not the case always.
And conditioning too.
Conditioning has a lot to do with it.
Working with them, getting them in shape makes a big difference.
Picking up their feet right. Like Rusty used to trip a lot. He trips quite a bit less than he used to.
I think some of that's me learning some things and becoming a better rider.
Sitting back.
Sitting back and carrying myself better.
And the trimming of the hooves is different than a horse. They're more upright. People that don't know, they have, they trim them like a horse, and that doesn't help them at all.
Yeah. I would always ask your farrier.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you've got a good
farrier, what he thinks about trimming donkey hooves, and just make sure that he has, I think if he has thoughts and opinions, is aware of it, then you're in better hands. And
well, we had Nathan Heyer on the podcast. I'm sure Zach, because Lauren probably doesn't know.
Yeah, she needs to step up her game a little bit.
But so Nathan's one of my clinic hosts, and he's a farrier for a living, and we were talking about that. Most mules and donkeys ought to be between 55 and 60 degrees.
Yep.
That's where their hoof ought to be. Somewhere in there. And so now anytime, because I trim my own and chew my own, Nathan, he talked me into getting a hoof gauge. I'd never used a hoof gauge before.
We've got one.
And I just had always eyeballed it, and he said, no, dude, that ain't good enough. You need to change some things. And so hoof gauge, and yeah, you're right. So the feet, how you ride, conditioning, it all makes a difference in the performance, because I've seen animals that trip really bad with one rider, and then I could get on that animal and we're rocking and rolling.
That's right.
What I mean? Like not a problem. Okay, what's the difference? But I've also had, I've had plenty of animals trip on me, and I've been rolled on lots of times, and had lots of animals fall over,
It's happened to me, horses, mules, and donkeys.
Yep. So that can happen, but yeah. Anything else on the donkey topics? I have a question that I'd like both of you to answer. Okay. Somebody wants to buy a donkey. All right. What are your top suggestions, or what would you suggest them look for when buying a donkey? I want to buy a donkey today. What do you tell me to look for?
I got one.
This might not, or you got something.
I got an I have a
also
something I would look for.
Yeah.
In a donkey.
Mm-hmm.
I want some more reactivity. Like, I want to know that it's going to be something that I can move its feet.
Yeah.
So
not just
I might take a lunge with a plastic bag on the end of it. And I might ask them to put the donkey in a brown pen or small pen. And I just want to see, how is he going to move off of this? Is he gonna go forward, or is he just gonna stand there like a bump on the log?
Yeah, that's something Candace told us is a good little tip. Is that she said, if you go out there and there's a group of donkeys and you just throw a bucket at them, she's like, you want the one that ran away.
Yeah, and she's absolutely
right. He's gonna have some forward. He's gonna have. Yeah, that's something to look for.
Which sounds counterintuitive. Somebody like, I want the one that's gentle. We're all pretty.
Well, that would be a huge difference in you're looking to buy a horse and looking to buy a donkey, because in the horse world, well, I guess it depends on what kind of performance you're into.
Sure.
But if we're talking trail donkey or trail horse right here. If you did that in the horse world, you don't want the horse that reacts. Well, the donkey world,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the biggest complaints that I get about the donkeys is lack of forward motion.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have to have it.
Yep. Look for forward before anything else.
Anything.
And I'd say on that, I think the reason people have the hardest time getting forward motion is they just beat them on the sides with their legs. And
Yeah.
nobody ever really
You
teaches
just
them
start quiet.
how to go.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes back to you have to train a donkey the way you should train a horse.
I mean, if you start with 10 pounds of pressure, they're always going to expect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you work up to that. Like you gotta, if you need more, use it, but like you want to start.
But I see a lot of donkey riders, you know, and I see this in the clinic all the time. Their legs are just bopping, just flapping the whole time. Just kick. And I think this is what happens is the animal, it gets so used to that kicking.
You're pedaling.
And then they stop kicking it, it stops. And then now you have to kick it more and more to get it going. So they never really taught how to move off. Okay, so forward. So forward is a huge plus. What else do you look for?
Well, I mean, I like a good looking animal, so I'm gonna look at the
look at your
muscle.
Yeah,
He's
for sure.
He's a fine ass.
Yeah. I've always felt like the donkey is my spirit animal.
He really-
I would be a donkey.
He would be.
I
We
would
gotta
be a
put the
donkey.
camera where it runs out. You guys can see.
That's great.
I mean, I just I like just a good quality animal, so that's why we have Moon and Revy. You know, they're built well and they're forward, and I'm looking to advance in this genre of equine. So start with something good, but you know, there's obviously like a ton of parallels, obviously, with the donkeys and the horses, but there's some polar opposites too. Like if you've got one that isn't real interested in loping, you know, I would, from my own experience, you know, I'm going to try to go as fast as I can back to the barn. Like when it's time to go back to the barn, like you just don't do that with horses. Like
unless they're barn sour,
and
then you do.
Right.
Yeah.
And that might be confusing to a lot of people. But
Yeah.
like if I have one that wants to go back to the barn, I run back.
You run back and then you work at the
Yep.
barn a whole bunch and then you leave and you got to make that the place of work. But like in the case of the donkey, like you want to use their energy in the beginning, because let's face it, like they just like they do run out of gas. Like ours do really, really well on the trail, but like when it comes to like arena work and obstacles, like you really need to use like their energy at the beginning of the training session, and that use it to your advantage and make your sessions even shorter than you would with a horse. That's been our experience. Like Henry is, I wouldn't call him a loping donkey. Like some are loping donkeys.
I don't know, that
Moon
ear
is-
prints looked pretty good last night.
Oh,
Flapping through
okay.
the wind. Well,
Here's what I mean by that. I'm going to clarify. Yeah, Henry likes to lope on the trail, but like if they don't see the point in like loping it around in an arena, you're going to have to get a little smarter in how you encourage that and motivate them to, because Henry gets in an arena, he's like, why are we loping? Like there's no point. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not following anything.
Mhm.
So like I'll try to, you know, like, you know, if I really want to even try to really want to focus on like, okay, I want to try to get him loping in an arena, and this is all kind of still experimental with him, because I would like to ride him in the open division, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But like when I start on that, I might even stall him the night before. Like I'm going to use every single thing in my power to before I just exhaust this and count him like he's not going to be a loping donkey. Because I mean, I have some different techniques I'm going to try. I'm going to try stalling him the night before. I'm going to try using all his energy in the beginning of the session. I'm going to try riding him alone out there without Moon. And then I will also try riding him alongside Moon while Moon's loping to try to encourage that. I'm going to put buckets with some food in each corner of the arena. And I'm like, this is kind of like an experiment for me, but I think that like, I'm going to try these different techniques to try to get him loping to find a point in going from one end of the arena than the other. It's like, but like at the end of the day, they're not all going to be loping donkeys. And then, I'm trying to think of another one that might be polar opposite of horses. There are
just leaning into, it's just, you know, that forward on the donkey is something, it's magic.
It's like something to behold. Like,
yep.
it's like, it's coveted.
Yep.
And you don't want to impede on that by like when you're first starting one, like, I just want it to go forward. Like, just go forward. Like, you don't even need to like steer a whole bunch. Just go forward. And then you like add in guiding.
Being the desert equine, I think it's a lot. It's, you know, it's about preservation, whether that's, you know, self-preservation, whether that's just conserving energy.
Conserving their energy. That big wide open space, like they got why would they have to go fast? They're going nowhere. Like, there's nowhere to go, really. It's just big wide open, and they have to preserve that.
Yeah. And to really go back to that original question, what we'd look for would be a forward donkey, above everything else, and to be ready, because a good donkey will sell fast. It will sell fast. So have your get out there, get after it. Get out. Hooked up to the truck.
I mean, seriously, they are hotcakes. They go like hotcakes.
Be ready,
because there's not a lot of people out there doing this, so there's just fewer of them. And then when people want something safe and reliable and consistent for their kid, you know, it's
just been it's really enriched our lives. You know, the donkeys come in our lives, and just the way it's all panned out.
Fun twist.
And it really, you know, to me, it really feels like it's divine intervention that this is all, you know, brought us here, and you know what this is meant to us.
You should thank Rooster for bucking you off.
Oh yeah, I guess I should. I'll give him some treats out there.
Yeah, give him treats.
No, but in all honesty, that's true.
What do you expect? He's a draft cross.
That's right.
Every bucking horse in anybody's string is a draft cross. Like every single one of them, right?
Yep.
But well, I'm glad you got bucked off, so you could get into the
Here we are,
living the dream.
And then I'm glad you bought one that was too small, because then I would have never gotten Henry, and
she would have stole whatever I bought, probably
because
Moon's next. Enjoy it while you can.
He thinks he's gonna steal Revy from me.
Revy gets great big, I will steal it.
No, you won't. Over my dead body.
He's a nice colt for sure.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you guys want to talk about before I let Zach play us a tune?
Oh man.
Putting you on the spot.
Oh man.
Anything else you want to? This is your chance to talk donkey.
Oh.
To probably at least 2.3 million people.
Oh boy. Jeez, the pressure's on.
Just came remember I told you there's three of them. It's Zach and my grandma and Guy.
Well,
have an open mind. Give a dog a chance.
I would say that people should give their donkey a chance to ride one-handed. They all think that they have to ride two-handed, but sometimes you just gotta start doing it and ride how you want the animal. Like, how do I say this?
Well, you have more experience than any of us riding one-handed.
True.
So do you want to talk about that? Want to talk about that a little bit?
I can.
If you want to.
What do you want to ask? What do you want to know?
Well, I mean, I already know. I already know what you're up to. But
share your story.
Yeah, share your story.
Okay.
Because this will inspire a lot of people when people are complaining because they can't.
A lot of people
use both hands.
Yeah, a lot of. Okay, so like I can't be like super duper handsy. I can't be heavy handed. I don't want to be anyway, but I have one hand, and so I have to think, smarter and more methodically, and with more awareness about my animal, because I'd like to have a free hand. Well, I like to ride one-handed. I don't know how to I don't know where to go with this.
It's
We'll
just
let
that
Zach take
something.
over.
Yeah.
So I lost my left hand in a car accident in 2004. And prior to that, I had my horse, and I always had two hands with my first horse until I didn't. And I had to relearn how to do pretty much everything. It forced me into becoming a better rider. I rode bareback a lot. I had a really crappy horse that wanted to go 800 miles an hour all the time. So that made me get a really good seat. I didn't have an arena to ride in, so the wide open was my so basically, like, with all these things combined, I was basically just like bolstered into being wanting to be a better rider, wanting to have better horsemanship. And it's like I'm still learning every year. I look back at videos of my riding from a few years ago, and I critique all of them and how I'm leaning here, I'm doing that wrong. I'm so like, I just want, that's why I like the Liberty so much, because you can have such a connection with your animal with just understanding them and their movements, and having to work not as hard with your hands. So like, and I love the bridle horse method, and how that process is slow and methodical and thoughtful, and the progression into the bridle and riding one-handed is my ultimate goal, and I think it should be everybody's ultimate goal. And everybody wants to ride their donkey two-handed, and they can ride one-handed. I did it. I do it all the time.
You just did every ride.
I went into nationals for the first time last year. I rode my trail course one-handed, and nobody had ever done that before. And I was like, what? Why? Like, nobody, I don't think anybody, as far as I know, as far as what I've been told, nobody does that, especially in training level. So the fact that I went in there my first year and I rode the trail course one-handed, and unfortunately everybody in the class was disqualified because of a super minor gate technicality. There was a push gate, not a pull gate, and everybody did it wrong except one person. So that's beside the point. But anyway, like, I ride how I want my animal to ride. You have to, if you don't ride with your legs with a donkey, you're not going to be successful.
We were talking about this last night, and in a lot of situations, you only have one hand. A lot of people will think that'd be really a disadvantage. I guess for a lot of moments it is. However, I think for you, it is extremely advantageous because it forces you to use your seat.
It forces you.
You have to. You got to use your seat and legs. And you guys have been to my clinics. You know how hard it is for me to get people to ride one-handed. I try to, and Meal Ship one. All right, one hand, and everybody's like, oh.
I'm like, just do it.
I'm like, yeah. So,
but I went into the trail course this year one-handed, and I won it. Mm-hmm. And I love to show people that it can be done. Mm-hmm. Like, you just once you understand how to use your legs and move all the parts of their body, they'll do it for like, you're not going to have the chance. Most people aren't going to have their thing neck reining like a reined cow horse, but a true reined cow horse rides off just the bridle alone. the reins. Like they don't even barely use their legs. They don't have to. They use their legs and they don't use their legs. But like they use their legs to train them to get to that point so that they can ride that way. With a donkey, I'm not saying it can't be done, but it is you need to ride with your legs. And if you don't know how to ride with your legs, you need to learn how. So your seat and legs. And it's crucial in my opinion.
And I would just add that, you know, Lauren just being who she is, like you're never going to tell Lauren she can't do something for any
I
reason.
do not like being I don't like it when people underestimate me.
No, certainly not. And you
So
know,
is this how you
never
never cook things you want her to cook? Like, I bet you can't.
I bet you can't. That's a good idea.
That's the only thing that will work on.
No, but it's never an excuse. It's just
People make excuses for everything. And I'm like, to me, it's, I don't like in my mind, I don't like, what is the word disability? Like, I have obstacles. Like it's a lot harder. It's a lot bigger challenge and I have to work harder and suffer more, but it's like, this is my life now. So you just have to, I have to accept that and just be the best I can be. And I want people to see that you can do it too. Like if I can do it, you can do it.
I love that it doesn't hold you back. I love that because I mean, I have people that cancel coming to class all the time. Like, oh, I broke my pinky. I'm like, so? Well, I can't come. Well, why not? Like, why can't you? Well, yeah. Because it hurts. Like, you know, like there's so many excuses that people don't show up to class. And then it's amazing the people that do show up with the struggles that they do have. You know, like a guy last week, Mike Weber, and he listens to this. He'll listen to this episode, and he's in my master class next year, one of my coaching students. And, you know, he showed up with a bunch of broken ribs, you know,
yeah,
and he just did it. He just
do it.
He just gritted through it and just did it. I've had people show up with broken legs, broken arms, fresh, like all you know, all kinds of fresh stuff. I have powered through clinics, nobody knowing that I had just I've broke my wrist in a clinic and just kept going. I broke my fingers in a clinic, it just kept going.
You ain't no cowboy if you ain't got a broken leg.
That's right.
No cowboy.
There you go, W.
I bought Teddy and Cricket in Montana, and I broke my left elbow out there in the Beartooth Mountains. On Teddy, he had about 5 rides on him. A tree caught on my saddle. It like a sapling got caught on my saddlebag and whatever. Anyway, I was like, man, I'm gonna bring both these home. So I would be out there every day with my left arm in a sling. On my right arm, I had a cast. Well, I had a cast on it earlier, and then I had a soft cast on it. And I took those horses everywhere with me. Yeah. If anybody had a horse event going on, I took them with me. I might have not been riding on them, but I was working with them. And I don't like to make excuses. And I remember when Cricket, my Appy, I'd only had him for like a couple weeks, and I had just started walking again, barely, without crutches from a knee surgery, not horse related. And he had a little bit of food aggression, and he spun around and bit me on the bicep. He put his whole jaw around my bicep, and I thought, oh hell no. And it was like my adrenaline. I ran him into that lot right there, and I chased him around in a bag sack, barely on 2 feet, until he was dripping sweat, and he never did it again.
This is the person we're dealing with, you guys.
He's tough. Feel bad for him, Ty. It's tough. It's tough.
Zach,
I don't stand a chance.
Yep, it's tough to be you.
Anyway, enough about me. That you want to know my story, kind of.
There it is.
Now we
That
got
is
the
just-
story.
There it is.
The moral of the story,
Don't
ladies and gentlemen, is
Don't do it.
stop making excuses.
Yeah, no excuses. You don't have to have all your body parts to come to a clinic.
Nope.
You can do it.
Broke leg, whatever.
Whatever.
Get
Well,
up there.
I have had paralyzed people come, and I have had people with prosthetic legs come,
Yep.
and so it can be done.
For sure.
They
People
might have
just
their
don't
own
know
challenges.
that. People just don't know that it can because they don't have to.
Yep.
They don't have to do it. So it's not even a thought in their head.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool. Zach, you want to play us a tune, my friend?
Oh,
And then
man.
I'll finish up with one last question.
I don't know if this thing's in tune. I
Oh,
hope it's.
whatever,
What do you guys? What do you guys
whatever.
want? Something.
Play us anything. Play us anything. Let's get this camera on you.
Let's see. Let's do one. We had so much fun in the corn last night. Let's sing a song about corn.
Oh, I know what you're gonna play.
As we sat on the front porch, old gray house where I was born and raised, staring at a dusty field where my daddy worked hard every day. I think it kind of hurt him. I said, Daddy, there's a lot I don't know. Don't you ever dream about a life with a corn dog? He just sat there silent, staring at his faded coffee cup. Saw a storm of mixed emotion in his eyes. He looked up. He said, son, I know what you're in. Feels like this whole world is turning slow. And you think you'll find the answers to it all where the corn don't grow. Hard times are real. Dusty feet. You may change your mind. Cause the weeds are high. The corn don't grow. I remember feeling guilty. Daddy turned and walked back in the house. I was only 17 back then, but I thought I knew more than I know now. Say he did it for me. City life, straight hard road home. And you think you'll find the answer to it all where the corn don't grow. Hard times to reach. Dusty feet go by the go. You may change your mind. Weeds are high where the corn don't grow. You may change your mind. Oh, the weeds are high where the corn don't grow. Thank you. Thank you.
Heck yeah. Next American Idol.
I don't know about that. Donkey
That's
Idol,
awesome.
man.
Yeah.
We're the next Travis Tritt.
Yeah.
Is that song about Utah where the corn don't grow?
It might be. Man. It could be. It could be.
We can grow a little corn there.
Yeah, that's real sweet.
Little baby corns.
Irrigated.
That's right. Well, heck yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for
That
having
was-
us on
Yeah,
today.
thank you
Yeah.
for this opportunity, Todd.
You guys are so awesome. I got one last question, and I'd like to hear from both of you individually on this. At the end of all my guest podcasts, I always ask if you could give a word of advice for somebody going through this thing we call life, going down this road of life. It could be about donkeys, mules, could be about learning, could be about anything. Lauren, I'll let you go first, or do you need to think about it?
I think I might need to think for a
Okay,
second.
Zach, you got
I would just say, I think everybody's presented with opportunities in life, and take those take those opportunities, take the chance, get out of your comfort zone, learn, approach everything like it's an educational moment. It's been the most, I'm 40 years old now, and that's about all I know, is I try to have a positive attitude, and I try to approach it from a learning point of view.
That's great. That's great. Take your opportunities when they come.
Yep.
Amen. Hey, and that's great advice for anything, for life,
Yep.
or for horsemanship.
Yep.
Because you get little opportunities. The animal, the mule, the donkey, the horse gives you. You got to take it right then. You might lose it.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I think, like you have to like just believe in, sounds like cliche and cheesy, but like you have to like believe in yourself. Like, or you can't, if you just start out with the mindset that you can't, you won't. And
You can.
I think like you just have to take little baby steps, and that's like with anything in life, whether it be a career or whatever journey you're on. But I think like especially true like in the horsemanship, like if you just like you see the end result of other people and it's just like so overwhelming, and like I am just I get discouraged easily, like really easily, and I have to like remind myself, like take a step back, like, and like remember how like far you've come. Like I came from this like little girl that was just like begging for a horse that had my parents weren't, and like I don't even know why or how I got in and so interested in horses, but like you just have to invest your time and energy and stay curious. And if whatever your goal is in your journey of horsemanship, regardless of what your goal is, you have to stay curious and ask questions. And if you ever get to a point where you feel like you've lost interest, or you're in a funk and like you're like, I don't feel like riding today, or I don't this, I don't that, or you're making excuses, like I don't care, just do it. Like get up and do it. Because I can't tell you how many times where I'm like, it's so cold out, or it's too hot, or it's too this, like, but I like literally forced myself to do it, and I never regretted it, except the times that I broke a bone. but like just
do it.
Just do it.
yeah.
Heck yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, this has been fun.
It has been
Thank
fun.
you, Ty.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. It's so nice to have you and your family here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thanks for what you do for people, for mules, donkeys, horses.
Yep. You bet.
And you make people around you better. You do. Just the way you guys,
Hopefully.
your family is, and you carry yourself, and you're a godly man.
I
appreciate it.
yeah.
I really do.
Well, it's been good having you guys on. All you folks listening at home, we would love to hear your feedback. So if you get a chance, jump on Apple, especially. You can leave a rating and review there. It sure helps us out. And if you don't listen on Apple, that's okay. You can send me an email, ty@tsmules.com, and tell us how you like the show. And I'll pass on all the good stuff to Zach and Lauren, and I'll keep all the bad stuff to myself. Anyways, you guys, hey, thank you for listening. God bless you all, and we'll see you down the road.